populate. Then when Ross shows you on the screen, then you start singing.
Got it.
Okay, I'm singing with her. So, or bring me in when I add with her. When I go, how good? When she goes, how good it is, I'll jump in.
Ross, you use your judgment. You do whatever is good for you. Ross
knows how to handle us.
Nothing has changed. I love it.
I need to give you this. You need this, Ross.
All right. Oh. We got to be quiet because it's live.
I don't see it.
It's going to take 30 seconds.
Leslie.
Less. It's hilarious. Share to my story. How do I get it on my wall? Less. It's hilarious. Share to my story. How do I get it on my wall? How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
To be together on this. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
To be together on this day. Everyone! How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
To be together on this day. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
To be together on this day.
Good evening and welcome to Cantor in the Kitch, a special homecoming edition for Cantor Leslie Niren. Cantor, Brock, and I are thrilled to be here together this evening. There's nothing like old friends being together, and that is what is happening tonight. Some old friends cooking some new recipes. We were blessed to have Cantor Leslie Niren before she was a Cantor. She's a Pittsburgh native who graduated from Carnegie Mellon, and literally her first job after college was with us at Temple Beth-El, both as a cantorial soloist and a beloved youth group advisor. And we want to thank Ross, who's our current youth group advisor, and senior producer, who's our producer tonight, and thank him for dealing with all our antics and the laughing that you probably heard as we were coming live to the broadcast. She was ordained in May 2013 at the Hebrew Union College. Lori, were you at that ordination? I think, yes?
I was actually in school there. I started, my first year was her last year, and I was at her senior recital, which was absolutely fantastic.
That's right. And she worked with youth at Temple Israel and Central Synagogue in New York. She and I share an intense love of Israeli music, and she did an incredible thesis on the convergence of the sacred and secular Israeli fusion. And she is currently the Cantor, and you've been there since ordination, is that right?
And 3 years as student cantor. It's my 11th year with my...
You old lady, Temple Emanuel-El of Dallas, Texas, with a fantastic clergy team, and they're blessed to have her. Her parents and are members of Temple Beth-El. We know her grandparents. We love her whole family that's there. And we're just so excited to have her here. And I think there's a picture that you might be seeing of Lori and Leslie singing together, and it's just a joy. So we have some high holiday recipes, Rosh Hashanah, apple themed. There they are together singing. Lori's hair is very different. Leslie's looks the same. Tradition of
That was like 2009. What year was that, Leslie?
a long time.
2000, 2007, 2008.
Yeah,
Wow.
2008, we do. So we have a lot of apple-themed recipes this evening because apples and honey are the way to start the new year. And it's a link either on the Facebook page of Temple Beth-El of Boca Raton or on our website. You will find the recipes we're doing tonight and more. I had a major rugelach fail, so I have serious investment in this going well this evening. So I'm going to welcome Cantor Leslie Niren. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for having me. I'm super, super excited to be here with my very old and dear friends. I always say to people, even though I only spent about a year and a half in Boca at Temple Beth-El, it was the most formative year and a half of my life. I learned so much from Lori and Jessica and Dan and the whole gang. They really threw me into the fire or the water, whatever you want to, whichever metaphor you want to use. And it was sink or swim. And I think I decided to swim with a little push from Lori, and it was a blast. I had so much fun. And it's just such a treat to be invited back to do this little fun show. So just a few words about this. Since COVID, we've all had to be creative. Temple Beth-El, I've seen some of your really incredible creative programming. Especially that amazing arts panel that Jessica put together several months ago. So I wanted to get creative with my programming. I've always loved food. I've always loved music. I've always wanted to put the two of them together. And it took COVID to get that to happen. So I've been doing these Cantor in the Kitch little cooking, singing shows, and they've been really fun. So today we're going to talk all things apples, honey, Rosh Hashanah, sweet New Year. So are we ready?
We're ready.
Absolutely.
Ready.
Awesome. So we've got 3 awesome recipes. The first one is for an apple butter rugelach. The dough is, it's really important that the dough is really cold. So I made the dough last night. I put it in the fridge overnight. The dough is basically an exorbitant amount of cream cheese, sugar, and some flour, just for good measure. So it's really healthy dish. You want to do this when you're dieting. So I'm gonna grab it out of the fridge.
Lori is not cooking. Lori is drinking. I am cooking. We're just
Well, I have to tell you because, I've been eating a lot during this pandemic, and with us going to stage 2, that means I'm probably have to be seen in public in clothing. And so I have to a little from the rugelach.
button to button on a pair of pants. It's been leggings or.
Honestly, like, I think the best part about it is that I've been able to lead services literally just getting dressed from the top up. I've not been wearing shoes. I've been wearing mainly shorts or you don't even want to know. And it's been great, right? Like, okay, so we have our cold dough. I rolled it out after it sat in the fridge overnight into a nice circle. You can take a plate, roll it out, put the plate on top, and then trim away the excess dough so you get a nice circle that looks just like that. So we're gonna, Jess, do you have your apple butter?
I'm making it now. I made the dough though, so I'm making the apple butter now.
Okay, awesome.
Publix
So-
didn't have it, but Whole Foods did, so we found it. My honey's from CVS, so sorry.
So I actually really wanted to do a little variation on this, but I ran out of time. What I would suggest, if you're adventurous, is once you've got your apple butter, and you can add cinnamon or sugar based on how much is already included, I think I'm gonna dice up some apples the next time I make it in a little bit of butter and sugar on the stovetop, and then add it in so there's actually fresh apples inside. I think it will give it a nice little pop of freshness. So, or more sugar. However you want to look at it.
Leslie, how exact do the ingredient? Are you like really strict about your measurements, or are you flexible about things?
So that's the funny thing. I really am I love to cook. Baking is not my thing at all because it's too precise. I don't like to follow any sort of measurements at all. I just kind of like a dash of this, a dash of that until it tastes good. But in baking, unfortunately, you really have to be precise. So with the dough, I was precise. I followed the recipe exactly. I doubled it because I'm going to make, so you see this circle? I have 4 of them. I'm going to make 4 batches, each with a different flavor, and then make these cute little care packages for like my fellow clergy and some friends in Dallas. And I'm going to put a cute little bow and deliver them so they'll each get a little variety pack of 4 different flavors of arugula. Doesn't that sound like a great idea for the holidays since we're not seeing each other?
Yes.
Amazing.
Here's my circle of dough that's here that I'm going to unearth. I actually, Shira and my daughter took a croissant making class this summer, which was literally the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It was so rewarding and worth it. It was like the bargain of the century. It was a website, Coursera. I think it was like 20 fun. It was 3.5 hours of instruction on a Saturday night and continued to a Sunday morning. And making croissants from scratch is the hardest thing I've ever done. But it made you understand dough better. Which was,
I would never want to know how much butter you put into a croissant recipe.
You put like, there's like a square, imagine a whole rectangle of butter. That's like what you wrap the dough around. And that's what makes it, you keep folding and folding. It's like folding an envelope. And I'm glad I did it once. I don't think I could do it again, but it was fantastic.
Okay, so I'm just spreading the apple butter mixture evenly. I'm leaving a little border at the edge. And once we've got this all spread onto our dough.
How thick is your rolling out? Because that's where I hit trouble earlier. I rolled it too thin, I think.
I'll be honest, I had that problem too, and then I did it a second time, and it was better. It's actually pretty thin. I could not roll it into an 11-inch circle. This is probably more of an 8-inch circle.
Yes, it looks like a pizza from here, the view that.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, so Jessica, you just roll it out and you'll catch up, right?
Yep.
Okay, so we've got our apple, and you know, when you have the time later, next time I do it, I would also just put the fresh apple compote right on top of that. We've got some toasted walnuts. I'm going to sprinkle those right on top. And then once you've got your walnuts on top of your apple butter, I'm also going to, let me do a couple more. I'm going to sprinkle some currants. You can use currants. You could use yellow raisins. You could use regular dark raisins, whatever your fancy is. Jessica, what do you have over there?
So our Publix actually didn't have apple butter. We either go to Whole Foods for that. I don't like raisins and currants. It was just too weird. So I'm just doing apple butter and walnut. My epic fail earlier, my round one was I had requests for Nutella and raspberry jam. So they're not pretty, but they look horrendous, but hopefully they taste good. This round.
I'm sure they'll taste good. Well, we'll see. Okay, so we've got the apple butter. We've got the toasted walnuts. I chopped them up really fine, toasted them in the oven for 3 minutes. We've got our currants. Now you're gonna grab a pizza wheel or a sharp knife. Like a pizza cutter is a really good tool for this. Yeah, I bet most of you guys have one of these.
I love cutting with a pizza cutter. It's like a weird, exciting thing that it's like satisfying to cut with a pizza cutter. I don't know why.
Okay, so I'm
with a pizza cutter.
What am I doing right now? Can you see?
Yep.
Yeah, but Jessica likes to cut with a pizza cutter. What do you cut with a pizza cutter other than pizza?
It's just very, I don't know, the just doing it is, I don't know, it's satisfying.
Like a toy.
You know what? I agree with you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, see, if I was able to roll the dough into like much bigger pieces, yeah, you know what? I am going to do one more. I would have liked it to be bigger, but you see, I'm just going to make them a little smaller. They'll be delicious.
I got gun shy because my first one was too thin, and now this one's a little thick. So, like Goldilocks, eventually it'll be just right. But I didn't double the recipe. Yeah.
You didn't what? You didn't what?
Ugly again. I didn't double the recipe like you did.
I did it because I wanted to have extra dough so I can make a bunch as gifts. You know, once you're in the kitchen, you might as well just
Yeah.
go for it. Okay, so I've cut these up into a bunch of little equal triangles. I have mine on Silpat, which is great, non-stick. This is like something every baker and cook should have in their kitchen. You can buy it on Amazon. So let's take one, okay? And you're gonna start with the wide end, and you're gonna roll the triangle, and you're gonna look how pretty that is. And then you're gonna put it on the sheet pan with the pointy side down because you don't want it to unroll while it's baking. Okay?
I really have no pointy side. I'm so glad you can't see my and I made croissants. I made Robin Eisenberg. We miss you too. We're getting your text. I got to put
Hi, Robin.
Robin's watching.
Robin and I are playing Scrabble. We've been playing Scrabble on Words with Friends.
And can we say hi to your mom too?
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol. She's my neighbor.
Jessica, how are you doing over there?
Well, they're ugly, but hopefully they taste good. I got gun shy, so now I made the dough too thick, and now it's more like a Ross. I'm gonna make you a challah because I was like, oh, I'll make Ross challah, and then who's our producer, and then I made round one. I was like, that is not gonna happen. It's gonna be sad. So challah.
That's too big.
It's funny. At the beginning of this year, like a year ago, we brought in Beth Recanati, who wrote Braised, which is about the healing power of making challah. And I've done it so much now, and I actually love making challah. So I think there's many negatives of the pandemic, but one of the positives is that people are cooking more. And it's enjoyable, and it saves money, and you try to, like, I never in a million years would have taken a croissant making class if it hadn't been.
Awesome.
You know who we should give a shout out to is Tammy Weissman, because I have never seen such beautiful challahs as what she bakes on Friday. I mean, they're amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, Tammy, Rabbi's wife.
That's awesome. So I will say I put too much jam on mine, way too much, and that is a lesson learned. I totally see that. They're going to be totally exploding. So I could have used probably half of that amount of jam.
Are you putting them in the fridge? I'm just putting mine right in the.
What did you say?
Are you putting yours in the fridge, or are you putting them right in the oven?
No, I'm gonna put them right in the oven, 375-degree oven. Once we're all done, we're almost done here. They're actually quite pretty. These ones over here turned out. Can you see them? Yeah, they turned out well.
Yeah, mine are hanging. Sorry.
I want to see yours, Jessica. Come on, let's see.
Gone. They're in
the. Your rugelach.
They're as ugly as round one. I will get better at this. And I'm such a dummy because I posted on Facebook like for tonight. I'm like, oh my God, rugelach, because rugelach dough, the dough is super easy to make. And I'm like, oh, rugelach dough's so easy. I can't believe I haven't made it before. And then I like fessed up and said, well, this is why I haven't made rugelach, because it's hard to roll. So, but yours look pretty. Yours are much neater and nicer.
I
You just don't.
handling.
I don't.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say you got it. Like it's like Goldilocks, like not too thin,
Yeah.
and not too thick. But yours look beautiful.
You really have to be careful with. I hear what you're saying about the dough. It becomes very hard to handle because I think it's because of the cream cheese.
You have a pretty large clergy team, and you're gonna give like 2 rugs to each clergy person.
No, I'm gonna make 4 of these trays. Everybody's gonna get like 4 of them, 4 or 5.
Okay.
It'll be great. Okay, so actually, I think they look pretty good. But way too much jam, so I think that's going to be a problem once they cook. But you know what? Okay, learning experience, good. So we see these guys. Last step before we pop these in the oven, we're going to get a little bit of egg wash and gently give a little brush on the outside so it gets nice and golden brown. Lori, how you doing over there?
I'm enjoying watching you guys work. You're doing a beautiful job, though. I'm very impressed.
Oh, apple butter is good. That's really delicious. What is your absolute like pride dish? Like, what's the thing you're really good at, Leslie? Like your best.
For cooking?
Yeah.
I really like making whole stuffed bronzino, like in the oven, like oven roasted, kind of at a high temperature. I stuff it with like thyme and lemon and rosemary and just it's delicious. And I like to do the whole thing with the head on, all the bones, everything. That's how you get a whole fish is delicious. That's my favorite thing, I think. And then
you're landlocked in Dallas, right?
Yeah, but we've got good fish here. I mean, they fly it in. I also, on the recipes that I included, there's a bunch of holiday recipes. There's one slow braised Persian lamb. And if you like lamb, really, truly, it's the best lamb dish I have ever tasted in my life. It's a New York Times. I got it from New York Times recipes. They have awesome recipes. And really, once you like put all the spices in and you put it in your Le Creuset or your giant cooker, you just let it do its thing in the oven for 3 hours, and it like falls off the bone. It's like a great dish for a crowd, for parties. That's one of my other favorite dishes to make, for sure. And then there's also, I don't make chicken a lot, but there's a great ottolenghi chicken recipe with like, what's the yellow strands? I just forgot the name.
Saffron.
Saffron and walnuts and honey and rose water, and like the whole house just has this amazing Middle Eastern scent. I love that one too. So once you've got the egg wash on, you're going to sprinkle it with a little bit of demerara sugar, which is basically just like a finishing sugar that you put on for crunchies at the end for cookies and stuff. So you just sprinkle a little bit on top. You could also do sesame seeds, coconut. I mean, you could do anything really at the end. This is traditional.
So you're a rabbinical student or cantorial student or ed student in Jerusalem, marzipan is the place to get the chocolate rugelach, and it's like a desired thing. Like I've many times gone from the Machne Yehuda to the airport. That's with a plastic container full of marzipan rugelach or chocolate rugelach. It's incredible.
Yes, and I have benefited from those trips when you come straight to the office with this big tub of those, and they're sticky and delicious.
God willing.
They are so delicious. All right, I got my rugelach in the oven. You guys can see it's a pretty easy recipe. Pretty easy to make. I think it takes a couple tries to kind of perfect the dough and to figure out exactly the ratio of filling to jam and then when you roll it. But really, everybody can do that recipe. So we're going to do something a little healthier. The main event, apple covered salmon. This is an awesome recipe. I was actually experimenting with an apple and potato crusted salmon a few weeks ago. And I just was kind of playing around in the kitchen, and then I found this recipe by Busy in Brooklyn. She's an amazing chef and cookbook author. So I've got almost 2 pounds of like a beautiful looking, can you guys see that? Salmon here. Again, super, super simple recipe. Also one that like you could do with the kids. You could get them involved. You're gonna preset your oven to 400 because I only have one oven and the arugula are cooking. I'm gonna do all this, and when they're out, we'll up it to 400 and stick it in. So in this bowl right here, you can get a close up. I have 2 different mustards, Dijon mustard, whole grain mustard, and apricot jam, a little salt, a little pepper. Mix it all up, and I'm gonna brush that mixture right over the salmon. I mean, who doesn't love mustard slathered on salmon, right? Am I right?
And just, I want to jump in. This recipe, this was a last minute addition. So this recipe is in the recipes that you'll find either on the Temple Beth-El website or on the Facebook page of Temple Beth-El advertising tonight's event. And you'll find that recipe. And there's a bunch of other salmon and chicken and the lamb recipe and all that stuff that she's referred to that you'll see at the site. Laura, do you want to talk a little bit about what wine you drink with your fish?
What do I drink with my fish? Well, tonight I opened up a bottle of a very light rosé. It's almost like a Blanc. It's called Hot, and I love it, from Provence. And I think a rosé goes, especially in this hot weather, goes with any of it. Another choice I like is Rock Angel, which you can find in the store. And if you want to go a little lower price point, Whispering Angel. I think though, with what Leslie's cooking tonight, I would probably go with a Chardonnay, just because I think the roundness of the Chardonnay would be delicious with the mustard and the citrus and the salad. I got this Remy Chardonnay from Napa over at Gourmet File, my favorite store in East Boca. And a little higher price point is Kistler. It's a great Chardonnay. It's not fine, so it has little pieces in it at the bottom. That's the only thing I don't like. You could also enjoy a Sauvignon Blanc. I love Mary Edwards. Her wine is great from Sonoma. It's a Sauvignon Blanc, has like a little bit of a melon undertone, which is, I think, would complement this well. And if you're not a white wine person, then I would go with a Pinot, a really light red. And 2 of my favorites are Joseph Phelps Quarter Moon Bay, or from Napa, or I would go with from Oregon, where both places we went with my wine havara, Eminent Domain, both light, nice Pinots, which would go nicely. Also, if you're not a white wine person. So George and I like our wines.
Awesome. So this is a really cool recipe because you slice the apples super thin and then you layer it kind of almost like fish scales. So you've got like the meaning of the fish, which is more traditional in Sephardic circles for Rosh Hashanah, and you've got the sweetness. We're going to drizzle some honey in a second. There was also some honey in the marinade. And it's just also beautiful. And once you put the apples and slice them thinly and they cook in the oven for about 20 minutes, everything is going to kind of marry together and caramelize, and it's just going to be delicious. Again, super easy and a great dish for a crowd.
Leslie, if we wanted to lighten it up a little, instead of the honey, could we use like agave or something like that?
Absolutely. You can use agave. My favorite sweetener in the world is actually date honey. That's the healthiest of any sweetener that you can use. This is a brand called Vash, date honey. There's another company that I love called Just Date Syrup. Looks like this. This happens to be their pomegranate molasses, which is a combination of pomegranate and date. But this you can find at Whole Foods. It's called Just Date Syrup, and that's like the healthiest sweetener around.
And the reference she made to fish is because Rosh Hashanah is the head of the year, the beginning of the year, it's traditional to have fish heads and fish on your table to symbolize that head. So there's a lot of symbolism in this dish in this year when we're going to have to try harder than any on our own. Ross, the producer, says yum. Yeah, it's yum for sure. That, you know, just to have like really strong symbolism and be blatant and obvious about what you do. This is a fantastic dish. And I see why you say it's kid friendly. It's fun to assemble. I don't know how many, some kids like salmon, some don't, but the whole making of it looks fantastic. Could you put apple with other proteins or is really fish it?
I mean, I'm thinking about that. There certainly would be I think they'd be good stewed in certain dishes. Lamb. Salmon is a great fish because it has so much fat in it. It stands up well to anything you're going to pair it with. Like, I don't think that this would work so well with a white flaky fish. I think because there's not enough fat content in that. I just drizzled a little bit of olive oil. We're going to drizzle a little bit of lemon juice on top, and then a tiny little drizzle of honey or agave, whatever you've got lying around, or date syrup. And then you're going to see once it comes out of the oven, it's so beautiful. Once through the cooking, you're going to take a spoon and baste it with all the juices. So then at the end, you'll see the beautiful mustard seeds on top of the apple.
Okay, Leslie, I'm going to make you laugh. That yellow thing you were using, it's been in my drawer for years, and I never knew that that was a lemon squeezer. I just couldn't figure out how to use it. So did you put does it matter if you put the lemon up or the lemon down? Show me, open up. So
you cut the lemon in half.
Yeah, I've never used it. It's in the drawer.
And then you take it, I always put it down, and then you go, boop. It's the best tool. I use it every day.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to use that. Thank you.
You can get way more lemon. And guess what? You can use it for all of your alcoholic beverages too. It's a great tool for the bar.
There you go.
You think I drink at the bar? Come on.
Okay, so here we go. Look at that gorgeous, gorgeous fish. See that? It's going to go into the oven. Well, we're going to put it to the side until our rugulas are done in 7 minutes. And that was it. I used a green apple and a red apple just to look pretty, but you can use whatever you've got on hand. I used a Honeycrisp and what are those green tart apples called? I never buy them. What are the green tart apples called?
Granny Smith.
Granny Smith. I never buy them, but they're good to bake with and cook with.
I like them. I think they're tart and yummy. I put cinnamon on them.
Oh, really? Yeah. Actually, cinnamon baked apples would be an awesome dessert also, and an apple crisp, if you want something something different.
So go on.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So part of your stick is with Cantor and the kids, because we've had cooking classes all along, but you sing while you are doing this. How does it feel to sing in home, in your kitchen while you're cooking? Like, you make it look so easy. And like, I mean, I can't sing anyway, but I'd be so awkward if I was cooking and then I'd start singing. But like, you're very smooth about it. I'm like so impressed by that.
The first time I did, that's a really good question. The first time I did it, like many months ago, first month of COVID, I was like, oh my God, I have a guitar in my kitchen. What is going on? It felt very bizarre. Like, I'd never really led, I mean, I don't think any cantor had led services from their home before 6 months ago. So it was a whole new ball game that we were all getting used to. But honestly, 6 months later, I feel very comfortable with my guitar in my kitchen with my cameras. Like, I have to say, it's been an amazing, amazing way to connect with people. Like, the response to Cantor in the Kitch has been so beyond my wildest dreams. People love food. We know that. We know people come for the oneg. We know people come for the dinner. But you know, sometimes we don't know which of our congregants have this secret passion for food and for cooking and for being around the table. And this has really been such a wonderful way to connect in a time that is so hard to connect with people because we're all so isolated. I mean, food and virtual gatherings around food and singing and song really has been such a gift. So yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. I've been cooking since probably college. I started cooking. As a kid, I wasn't that into it. And then I got really into the Food Network, like I think in middle school or high school. And I started watching the Food Network all the time. And to people like, my mom cooked a lot, but I was never interested in cooking with her, only eating her food, which was delicious. Healthy and delicious.
You remember you were into Rachel Ray and you were making all those recipes and you made them in my kitchen. My kids still talk about your Mexican lasagna.
I used to love the Rachel Ray 30-minute meals. That's like really what got me into it. And then I lived in my sorority house for 3 years and I just I never cooked. And the first time that I went to boil water, I thought it was burning. I didn't even know what was happening. And then suddenly I just cooked for everyone in the sorority and I cooked for all my friends. And it took off in Israel for my year in Israel and my summers in Israel. I cooked a ton there. So yeah, I mean, secretly, if I ever had a little time on the side, I would love to go to culinary school and really learn the real skills. I'm just making it up as I go. But it's been really fun and I love to entertain. Having people over and feeding them and gathering is really my favorite thing to do.
So one of the most touching things you said in your introduction is how close and impactful this time at Beth-El and it was, and we want to hear, but it's so funny because we have now Cantor Michelle, who's in the room, is if we could go to gallery view. And one of the things about, I think, being clergy everywhere, I'm sure you have the same in Texas, and we have it at Beth-El, and I'm sure a lot of, like, have it across the board. It's like you get super close, like you are with people and like their ugliest moments and their most beautiful moments, and you just have to be a team together. So we have an amazing clergy team. So we have a smackdown right now because Michelle's crashed our Panthers are.
Hi, Michelle!
Where is
I was feeling left out because I thought I was the only one in Lori's life with dark curly hair that could sing with her. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing pictures of you two together on Facebook and I felt cheated.
Sister, I was there first. Get in line.
Oh, I love when the girls fight over me.
Yeah, no, but seriously, Lori, you've had so many different musical partners in your, how many years now at Temple Beth-El?
I think this is starting my 24th year.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that's my favorite and best and luckiest number. So good luck with your 24th year. That's amazing. But really, over the years, you've had like, I can think of like 8 off the top of my head, different musical partners that you've worked with.
Though. You're making Michelle more jealous. So Michelle's been there a while. Leslie, tell us how you got to Beth-El. Do you want to tell the story real quick?
Oh,
Sure.
wait. I want to tell.
Yeah, you tell. Well, you tell your version and I'll interject if anything is amiss.
Okay, so do you remember this, Jessica? We were in clergy meeting in that old clergy living room.
Yeah.
And they said, there's a young woman here who sings, and her mother is friends with a member, and she was told to come over because it was right after Cantor Dubois passed away, right? And I had nobody to help me. And in walks this beautiful young woman, and Rabbi Dan says, sure, why don't you go warm up in the sanctuary and sing for us? And we were like, wow, okay. And we heard her warming up in the sanctuary. And Dan looks at me and he says, I think we need to hire her. We didn't even have to see you sing. We could hear you through the walls. It was so fantastic. Okay, so what's your story?
Well, the backstory of that is I had just finished Carnegie Mellon. I had done an extra semester to finish my double degree in music education. I had no idea what I was going to do next. Literally no plan. I was going to take some time off to figure it out. What people do after college when they don't have a job or know what they want to do. I mean, I was graduating with a vocal performance degree. What the heck do you do with a vocal performance degree? Which is why my parents made me get a music education degree. And I was just taking some time off. I went to Boca to visit my grandparents with my mom. We were there for the long weekend. And she kind of roped me against my will into going to meet her friend Betsy Blackman. And Betsy Blackman roped me into going to Temple Beth-El. I thought that I was just going to go sit down and say, hi, one day in the far future, I might be a cantor. My parents are really pressuring me. I had no idea it was going to be an audition and an interview, and it just kind of happened on the spot that way. And I literally went home, and a few days later, I got a call from Rabbi Levin, and he said, look out the window. How's your weather? And I said, it's snowing and freezing. And he said, it's sunny in Boca. Do you want to come? And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And my whole life changed. I moved to Florida the week later.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were so happy to have you. But then I remember saying to you, you are fantastic. And don't you dare do what I do. You go to cantorial school. You are young. You're single. You can go. And I remember you went to FAU and you took that Hebrew class. And then you had that tutor. Remember that? You had that tutor who was tough. She was tough.
It was a whirlwind. It was fun. I don't think I learned that much Hebrew. I think I learned more in Israel. But yes, I do remember you guys all encouraged me. Marcy and Michelle and Susie and everyone encouraged me to go to cantorial school, and I did. But here we are, still friends and still kibitzing all these years later. How great is that?
We run over each other. We run into each other. So every time we've turned around, like I was in Israel and you were in Israel, remember? I remember sitting in a hotel room with you. One of us had laryngitis.
I don't remember. I remember when the sirens went off in your apartment and I was leaving.
And you were showering.
And you were staying.
So she was at the cantorial conference with Andrea, another cantor, and they had to check out at their hotel room and they had like a midnight flight home. So they said, can we come over and shower at your apartment? And I said, sure. And so literally they come over to shower, and as they're in the shower, the sirens are going off.
That was crazy. That was
You
crazy.
were running out of the building.
Michelle,
So I have to say, Michelle is the longest standing cantorial soloist who has lasted with me.
Michelle, you get the award. You get the Medal of Honor and Valor.
I feel validated.
So Michelle, I have a question for you. You can kick it off. What have you guys been doing at Temple Beth-El to kind of be creative with programming and find new ways to connect with members and still maintain a sense of community?
and while she answers, can we put the salad slide up on so we can see our ingredients?
Are we supposed to cook or something?
Thank you. Michelle.
We're going to do it all at the same time.
Okay.
All right, well, this just stresses me out because I am not a cook. So, like, I'm not, so, like, kudos to all of you who are actually able to do this, and please share.
I saw sumac and I got scared. Where do you buy sumac?
Really, there is no sumac in the area.
So buy it online. Sumac is an Israeli spice, a Middle Eastern spice, and it is amazing. It looks like, what did I do with my sumac?
If there's more than like 3 ingredients, I don't cook it. I choose my recipes by how many ingredients are in there.
5.
So it comes from the sumac berry. It's very citrusy and bright and zesty. It's the key ingredient in fattoush salad. This is what makes fattoush. It's that like bright, zingy, red, acidic flavor. It's delicious. This is why you love fattoush, not the crunch of the pita, not the cucumber. It's the sumac.
All right, we're gonna have to get some sumac. We couldn't find it, and we went to a couple stores.
Yeah, I recommend Amazon. You'll get it in a few days from Amazon.
So if you planning recipes to do for Rosh Hashanah, a week plus away, a week and a little bit more away, just order your sumac ahead of time. I will have a sumac list salad here, but
I think I'm gonna do 3 more minutes to get a little more golden brown, and then the arugula will be done, and we can let's finish this salad. So we've got some, and then Michelle, back to the question. We've got some shredded.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we've got some shredded kale. We've got the rest of our Honey Crisp apple. This is a Michael Solomonov recipe that I've doctored up just a tiny little bit. I usually look at recipes. What'd you say?
Michael Solomonov, who's a Pittsburgh native like you, and Israeli, his aunt is a member of Beth-El, Aileen Fisher, and he was in our special. We did a creativity special, and he very graciously spent time with us for that incredible special, and he's doing amazing work. He's really like very generous in the restaurant industry and very worried about workers and does so much good. It's unbelievable, actually.
So we've got our apples, we've got our kale, we've got some toasted walnuts. Right before we started the show, I did a little quick pickle on these red onions. So I diced them up, and then I put a couple different types of vinegar, a tiny, tiny little bit of sugar, and a generous helping of sumac. And look how beautiful and red and the nice hue that they are. They're going to add a great zest to this salad. So I'm going to sprinkle some of these beautiful pickled sumac onions for a little kick. It is not Rosh Hashanah without pomegranate seeds, in my opinion. So I'm going to add a few pomegranate seeds so we have some nice jewels on top of our salad.
Traditionally, the pomegranate is supposed to have 613 seeds in it, which is the number of commandments that are in the Torah. So that's why pomegranate, and they grow all over Jerusalem. I never saw before in my life
I love them. I love them. I love to cook with them. I have like pomegranate Judaica all over my house. And then we're just basically, really, I suggest with kale to massage with olive oil before you start. We didn't do that tonight, but it's okay. We'll let it sit. I'm sprinkling a little bit of olive oil. Lori, if you were here, I'd let you use our little lemon contraption.
I'm so glad I know how to do it now.
So,
oh, by the way, I have to tell you, Rabbi Levin just texted me a picture of his bag of sumac that he has from the culinary tour. He says unopened, of course. How cool am I?
You know, there's a Lebanese like little market, and I know a lot of my Israeli friends who cook for us because I don't cook get their spices there, and I know it's in Coconut Creek. So for anybody who's watching this, if you know they want to know if they can find it somewhere local, that might be a good place.
But Michelle, you make beautiful fruit salad, and I miss your fruit salad. She used to bring these big Tupperwares full of delicious fruit salad, but we can't share food anymore.
I can cut up fruit. But I was actually thinking if I were Leslie's mom, who I'm sure is watching this right now, watching you cut with the knife made me nervous.
Why? Why? That's
I
crazy.
don't know. It was so close to
She's
your
a Jewish
finger.
mother.
All right. So check it out. We've got our salad. Isn't that beautiful? I would take a little bit of the pomegranate molasses, 'tis the season, and give it a little drizzle at the end.
Wow.
And that'll be lovely. It'll give a nice little punch of sweetness and acidity at the end. And that's a beautiful kale salad. Let me show you arugula that just came out of the oven. Actually, they look quite beautiful. They got a nice brown hue on them. A little bit of apple butter coming out so you know what flavor it is. They look pretty good, right?
Right. To see, I have to show how heinous mine are. They're awful looking. Like this is like horrible. Hopefully they taste good.
I'm sure.
Taste it.
There's one that's semi-rolled up, fell apart. But it's with practice. It's like with our croissants. When we made them, we made like 3 rounds of dough. Leslie, can you talk a bit about how Jewish your recipes are? Or does everything you make have a Jewish connection, or you know you see as a teaching or learning about a culture, or like how did Judaism and cooking intersect in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it is part of our heritage. It is part of our culture. The Jews, you know, for thousands and thousands of years have been cooking and breaking bread together. We read about it in the Bible. So for me, it is about connecting to another part of my Jewish identity. And for me, the Israeli piece is huge. So I never went to Israel, actually. As a kid or a teenager, my first time going to Israel was after I left Temple Emanuel-El. It was 2008, 2009 for my year in Israel, my first year of cantorial school, first of 5. And I was like a kid in a candy store the entire year. I was the poster child for the HUC year in Israel. I loved it. I took advantage of every single thing I could get my hands on. And literally immediately, I fell in love with Israeli culture, Israeli food, the people, the land, all of it. And now, like, as a kid, it was hard for me to connect. Sitting in Sunday school and hearing a teacher talk about Israel is hard. I heard what they said. I saw things on TV or on movies, but I never really felt that deep, yearning Zionist connection until I was in the land of Israel. And now for me, that's such a huge part of my cantorate and my Judaism, my Jewish identity, my cooking. Most, if not the majority, of my recipes when I cook, when I entertain, they have an Israeli influence. They're Israeli inspired. I love Israeli food. What is Israeli food is a whole nother topic. It's really just a melting pot of a million cultures that all ended up in one land that we now know as Israel. But for me, that's kind of what it's about, connecting to the past, connecting to our roots, connecting to all those different types of Jews, Sephardic, Ashkenazi, from all different countries that have one thing, well, 2 things in common, the land of Israel and food. So that's kind of what it's about for me. And hummus, yeah. Did you see Hummus? Did you see Hummus, the movie? Oh my God, that movie was hysterical.
Of course. And I have to tell you, like, I just wanted to interject that. So my husband is Israeli, and I grew up in a family of very picky eaters. Like, I don't ever remember eating onions or garlic before I met my husband. And then all of a sudden, like, I married, I also had that connection feeling about Israel, so much so that I married Israel so that I could live with it in my house. And I feel I'm like, it's for me, the greatest thing in the whole world. But like, the artistry of food is not anything I ever grew up with. And as soon as I got acquainted with my husband and his family and all of their friends, it was like, okay, Michelle, don't ever cook anything ever without onions and garlic and maybe mushrooms, like, just for starters. And it was just amazing to me how critical food was and is to the holidays, and like who we spend our holidays with based on the food and what they're cooking, because it's just not Pesach without certain food, or it's not a holiday without certain food. It's so integrated to their experience. So
Michelle, when you lived in Skokie, but we're both from Skokie, Illinois, by the way. When you lived in Skokie, did you ever go to Falafel King on Oakton?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I mean, yes, we were.
So you did have some Israeli food before Yaniv.
A little bit, but I come from a deeply Ashkenazic, background. So like, right.
The food isn't so great on that side of town.
No, there's quite the competition between Ashkenazic and Sephardic food. So anyway, I want to say thank you for allowing me to crash your party, and to say I am Lori's current wife.
The work wife, yeah.
Love this.
Hey, we've been together a lot of years, Michelle.
We have.
You joined us. Great to see you.
This is the first holiday that she didn't come sleep at my house. Usually, I don't know if you know this, Leslie, but Michelle, as kids were little, and they would wake her up during the night, and she needed to sleep so she could sing. So like the past 4 or 5 years, Michelle has come and she comes and sleeps over, and we sit and we go through the cue sheets and we steam together. And it's the first of my holy days I won't have you sleeping in my house.
I crash things, right? I crash Lori's house on the holidays. I crash, cooking shows with others.
I love it. That's great.
But Leslie, you're amazing, and it's so beautiful and artistic what you're doing. And
Thank you so much. I wanted to say, speaking of Sephardic, this coming Tuesday, I have a Cantor in the Kitch with my synagogue, Temple Emanuel, and I'm doing a Sephardic Rosh Hashanah Seder, which I actually just learned about myself. I didn't really know that custom. Do you do that in your house, Michelle?
No.
Okay. Well, it's a really cool custom, and if anybody wants to join, it'll be noon Central, so 1 Eastern, Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. You can find it on my Facebook page or Temple Emanuel Dallas Facebook page. It's going to be fun. It's really cool. The same way you have a Tu B'Shvat Seder or a Passover Seder, there's an order. There's 7 symbolic foods that you eat. Of course, pomegranates are one of them, each representing a different thing. And it's really about a word play with Hebrew and Aramaic. You'll learn.
Ooh,
and also,
when is this?
It's Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And I also want to invite anybody who's viewing right now to check out my Instagram, which is Cantor in the Kitch. I'm always posting whatever I'm making in the kitchen or eating at fun restaurants. So less in COVID times, but there's been so much time to cook. So check it out and become a follower and send me a message. I'd love to chat about what you're cooking during COVID.
Well, we're going to be making that salad because George just texted me he ordered sumac.
Oh, there you go.
I will share with everybody, because if you know George, he probably ordered a case.
Totally. All right, I'm going to lay with my children. So thank you for letting me crash. You're all.
Thank you for.
So, bye, Michelle.
Bye.
This year with COVID, the high holidays are incredibly different. We've recorded some things. There'll be some live content. One of the things we're trying to do at Bethel, and a lot of things the guys are doing, is getting people to think about what we're doing tonight, like making a beautiful meal, making a meal with meaning that resonates. Some other things, I just want to share a couple of other ideas and things to think about. Heather Erez, who is our amazing director of education, said to me a month ago, people have to gift socks because SpongeBob socks and Simpson socks. I think Lori gave you some of these already, because you have to acknowledge that this year is different and people are going to be at home. So if you give them socks, you're acknowledging that they're going to be at home, but you're also helping them understand, like, put on those comfy socks or those funny socks and watch services. Another thing that we're doing for our members, and I just picked it up today, and it's so fantastic, is a lot of food banks are in short food supply. And so we have for our Temple members, these are so fantastic and stunning. They say L'chaim with the Temple Beth-El logo. I don't know how well you can.
Wow, beautiful.
Gorgeous.
I should have picked up my bag.
For a food drive sponsored in memory of Robert Merson, and there's kiddish stuff in there and apple, like dried apple and all that stuff, and our awesome Temple Beth-El logo for members to pick up, to fill and bring back with food. I have my candles here. I don't know if you can see them. My Shabbat candles are also my holiday candles. Because it might feel weird. In the same way Leslie sings in her kitchen, it felt weird at first, but now it's like a very comfortable thing. The same with us. Like at first it might feel weird, like putting our talis or putting on our kippah or taking out our prayer book. But I promise you, like if you engage and are part of this and make a beautiful table, and some people the other night had apple lights up, Heather had apple lights up, and some other people had them too. Just anything you can do for that festive feel and to help your family, be a part of the holidays, even in these times, because we want to feel like we're together even when we are apart. How are things in Texas, Leslie, with COVID and all that's going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's been like everywhere. It's been a challenging 6 months. Things have been getting better, thank goodness. We're moving in the right direction. Restaurants are open at half capacity right now. I have a feeling there's been a progression with bars recently too. Not that I'm going to any. But there's still the weird, eerie feeling that like people are at home more and pretty much most of the time. Like the regular traffic, rush hour and stuff, it's not like what it was before. So I think people are mostly staying home and working from home. In terms of Temple, it's been so sad to not, as I'm sure it has been for you, to not be there really for the past 6 months. I led my first service from our chapel Friday night, and the rabbi I led with was at home. And nobody was in the chapel, just me and a few musicians. And it was both beautiful and so sad at the same time. It felt like so great to be there and also so lonely to not have the voices singing with me and to not have my cantorial partner singing with me. So it's been definitely surreal for sure. And I think it's been an important time for everybody to kind of take stock of what's important in their lives. And I think this high holidays, more than any other high holidays before, is so important that we all stop and that we find a way to be a community. Like I'm so looking forward, even though we pre-recorded our services, it's going to feel like a community because everybody's going to be watching those services at the same time. And we're going to have a couple live pieces, like a candle lighting and a live shofar blowing for us to really be together in the flesh. So yeah, I think that it's all about finding ways to connect and finding that community, and we're all doing the best that we can.
Absolutely. It's so beautifully said. I'm so excited. I'm always jealous at the end of the Today Show when they taste whatever dish that the chef made. And I'm so excited I get to taste the salad. I think you guys have a song for us to end with our program. Leslie, I can't thank you enough for doing this tonight. This is not a calm, quiet time for clergy at all. It's a busy, in a busy month, in a crazy year. And for you to take time to really, it's like a homecoming for us. Because, we love you so much here, and you're still very much a part of our hearts. And so I can't thank you enough for being a part of it.
I'm happy to do it. It was such an honor. Let me grab my guitar.
Is the fish done? Is the fish done?
It's not. It has 13 more minutes. So
we have a lot of singing to do.
So good.
We'll just kind of say hello to it. I'll bass it a little, and you'll get the idea. I have to find where my pick went. Oh, there it is.
Hopefully it's not in the rugolo.
Oh, look, it looks, except for one that doesn't look good. Can you guys see that? Let's get a close-up of the rugolo.
Rub it in.
There's a cameraman in there? Oh, there. Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Okay, wait, there we go. So these look pretty good. Look at those little guys, right? Nice.
You did that's going to be a good gift. Mine are not.
Well, we'll see how they taste. Okay, so I thought we could close with a song. So many good options. Let's do We Return. Do you guys sing We Return of Arian and Aronson at Temple Beth-El?
Lori had,
Yes, it's our big opening.
Lori
Oh.
was singing. It was quite exciting.
Wait. We have to tell you the story of We Return. So we did a musical composite, okay? And we were filming the High Holy Days. And what I would do is set up my phone, you know, in the chapel, and one by one they would go in and they'd touch it and they would record themselves singing. But you know, they're listening to the music in the ear, and the recording is just their voice. So you know this. Jessica's like laughing. Rabbi Dan is so serious. Wait till you see. He's so concentrating. And I have to tell you, the producer said, you know, your Rabbi Dan can really sing. I shouldn't say that live because now he's going to want to sing.
I love that. Hopefully you're watching.
One of them did it, and it's a composite at the beginning of Rosh Hashanah evening.
And Slichot, right? I think we're starting Slichot.
Oh, it's Slichot too. Yeah.
They probably laughed when I sang. It was awful.
Oh, it's so funny.
All right. My guitar's a little out of tune, but we'll make do. We return. We return. We return. Return again. We return. We return. We return. Return again and again to love. We return again to love. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu We return. We return. Return again. We return. We return. We return. Return again and again to you. We return again to you.
Shana Tova. This was beautiful. A happy 5781. Good night, everyone. Take care and thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Shana Tova.